Welcome to the Embodied Mystic podcast, where we explore the path of feminine awakening and luscious womanhood. Together we'll be diving into topics like sacred sexuality, feminine embodiment, spiritual healing, and soulful relationships. I'm your host, Tamar Raphael, tantric mentor and Aries hype girl, here to guide you back to the temple of your body and fall in love with being a woman. I look forward to journeying together. Hey beauties, welcome back. Or if you're new here, welcome to the Embodied Mystic podcast. Today, I am thrilled to introduce this new series to you that's all about conscious motherhood. So these are Conscious Mama Conversations, where I will be interviewing some seriously magical mamas with medicine to share. So these are women that I've known as maidens, who are just channels of the feminine, truly impactful space holders for women, supporting them to heal and awaken. And these are sisters who've recently made the transition to motherhood and also powerhouse mothers of older children. So I believe that these are the medicine women birthing the next generation. I can't even tell you how long it's been since I've been wanting to have these conversations and really wanting to share these kind of things out into the world. So if you're as curious about motherhood as I am and want to learn from those who are walking the motherhood path in deep connection with spirit, you're definitely in the right place. Yeah, it's just been amazing. I mean, I released a trailer for this episode the day before yesterday. It was kind of like late night Bali time. And since then, just the mamas who have come forward wanting to be on the podcast and wanting to share their story is just so exciting. I feel so good about this series, and I hope you're going to love it too and really learn a lot and be inspired and receive an imprint of how beautiful motherhood can be. So yeah, in these conversations, we're going to talk all about the rite of passage of becoming a mother from a spiritual lens and get a glimpse into the unique stories of mother and baby, covering topics like conscious conception, birth as spiritual initiation, alternative birthing practices, gentle parenting, and more. These are going to be real conversations with mothers who are changing the world with their love. I can't wait. So this was such a beautiful interview with Jelena. Yeah, it was just gorgeous. She is 5.5 months postpartum at the time of recording, and she was in Egypt, and Jelena and I actually met in Bali, and we met at this beautiful cacao fire. I don't remember if it was solstice or equinox. I can't remember now, but we met at this beautiful community gathering, and yeah, it was then when I met her that she announced that she was pregnant. And yeah, ever since that moment, it's just been such a beautiful journey getting to know Jelena, getting to follow her pregnancy and her birth. And yeah, it was so awesome to speak to her. So let's get into it. Hi, lovely Jelena. Welcome to the Embodied Mystic podcast. I'm so happy to have you on, finally.
Yay, Tamar. It's such a joy to connect here. So excited.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna read a little bit about you so everyone knows what you're doing and who you are. Jelena landed into this world dancing. After many years exploring the realms of professional dance choreography and teaching a variety of styles, it's her greatest joy to guide people into deeper connection to their body and heart to witness expression of truth. Previously a dance and yoga studio owner, she now shares embodiment and empowerment as medicine all over the world in the form of workshops, coaching, trainings, and retreats. In 2019, Jelena created her own facilitator training called Shakti Rising. This training is for women who wish to step fully into their feminine essence and share spaces with others through movement and embodiment practices. Oh, yeah.
Actually, nice to get it read.
Yeah, you're like, this is who I am. Yeah.
Yeah, this is who I have become, the journey.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, so Jelena, you are doing such beautiful work in the world. I love seeing your stories and just seeing, like where you are, what are you doing? It's so beautiful. And I am just so honored to have you on today to talk specifically about your transition from maiden to mother. So when we met, you were pregnant.
That's true. I actually announced it, at that beautiful place we met in Ubud.
Oh, that was the announcement, but it wasn't at that ceremony, was it, that we were at?
No, but I think some people didn't know. And then there was a moment I shared.
Yes. Right. I remember. Oh my God. I was so happy. And wasn't there was someone who was speaking into like the souls of the children? Is that right? There was a message that came through from
it's true. Yeah. The crystal kids.
the crystal kids. We are here for the crystal kids. We're ready for you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm just so curious about how this transition has been for you. I mean, you are such a like glowing representation of like the feminine. Like this is like my perspective of you, and I feel many have this perspective of you, and I'm just like, I'm thrilled to get to witness your transition into motherhood. Like, how are you? How has it been?
Thank you so much, Tamar, for this beautiful opening. And seeing me, it's really actually, when you speak, I'm like, wow, I don't even know sometimes anymore who I am, because I really feel that birth definitely has been my deepest spiritual initiation, where, some kind of old part of me definitely had to die. And so I'm still like day by day seeing like, wow, who am I now? And I think that shiny shiny part of me just is that commitment to myself, to take care of my inner alignment and to follow my heart and to really listen what I need to be my strength, even if it's a gentle strength. So I feel even more now, since being a mother, I feel it's my duty to show up even more lovingly and consciously for myself, that I actually can be we can say good mother. We're all good mothers, but just to be really fully present for my son. And that's kind of the short version. of this journey. That I don't know who I am anymore, and the birth is an initiation where I feel that the sense of who we were definitely dissolves, and then that deeper, duty that we have of being in service. Yeah.
I love that. And it's like something that kind of came to me as you were speaking about, like, this duty of service. It's like, I feel like those sisters who have journeyed through the portal of birth have such profound medicine to share with the maidens. Yeah. And that's really part of my intention for these conscious motherhood conversations, is like to really create a space to receive your medicine, and just to feel into your experience of motherhood and to really learn from that. I'd love to ask, like, how was the birth? Like, was it a natural birth? Were you at home? Were you in the hospital? And how was that?
So I'm so happy that we're talking about all of this, because we all need to spread more awareness to this topic. And as you said, I really do feel that it's important for many to hear and to get actually more relaxed about this whole, how shall I say, mystery of what is motherhood and how is the birth. So I'm so happy to share.
We're scared.
We are scared. Yeah, and I mean, the first thing that I probably really feel to say is that we are we are born to birth. We are born to be mothers. It's the most natural thing. And I really feel in the collective, it's time for us all to relax more, that the body knows everything. Like, the body is so intelligent. Mm-hmm. And that's why actually it just all flowed so naturally. And when it came to deciding how and where I want to birth, I just felt more and more, I'm just going to go the most natural way that I can. And always when I say these things, I really just want to also honor every woman with any choice, because there is no judgment on how we choose to birth. It's always powerful. It's always sacred, however it will be, But for myself, I just felt, I went to look at one birthing house, and first, actually, when I thought about it, first I thought, well, it's my first birth. Maybe I want to have the safest place, which would be a hospital. But I thought,
that's so fair. That's exactly. So fair. You've got to be relaxed, and it's like, wow, what a huge thing.
I was like, I take my energy wherever I go, right? And I thought, well, if something goes wrong in the hospital, I have the best care. But then I started to actually also listen a lot of podcasts. I started to read, and I did a course. It's like a preparation birthing course for medicine women, they call it.
I'd love to know which one.
A group of sisters in Switzerland. They have put themselves together with actually including my midwife and my doula. And they really are also encouraging, especially in Switzerland, home births are not so common. People are very, very scared. And somehow I just saw they're offering this, and I felt, well, it's good for me to go into it. And they go also into, really facing your fears and looking at your own birthing story, looking at your ancestral lineage. Those are all things that I highly recommend us to do, whether we're going to birth a child or not. It's just basically saying yes to being a woman here on this planet, saying yes to doing our best to heal ourselves and our ancestral lineage, because what else you know what we're here to do. It's really...
What else are you doing?
Yeah.
What else are you doing with your time?
We're here also to have a lot of fun and dance. But the thing is, I feel it's just the souls that are here to bring that higher consciousness in, to be awake in our living state, right? So yeah, I really I would say I ended up just being very inspired by the natural way of birthing, and I realized also that in some hospitals you will never have the time that you might need to open and all of these things. And that's when I started to feel in, and I always, during the whole pregnancy, I always asked the soul of my child, where do you want to be born? How do you want to do it? I actually didn't make any decision from myself. It was so funny, my partner, even when we were talking about where to live, and I was like, oh, the soul wants to be born in Switzerland, because we were still in Bali at the time. And he was making this joke and saying, wow, that's so relaxing. So we don't have to make any decisions anymore. We just ask the soul. Because I was like, wait, I have to ask the soul. But
I'm so here for this, babe. I'm so here for this.
I was like, well, as soon as I became pregnant, I felt that big sense of, now I'm in service. It's not about me in that way. And I think that's where it is this, yeah, it's just like another service, because right on our spiritual journey, we in a certain way, we are in service of the divine. However, what we understand of it, I think it's healthy to have a bit of that perspective in our mindset. For me, at least, it gave me a big sense of purpose and feeling connected to something higher than myself. So we have this dance with the divine, you know. And then as soon as I became pregnant, I just felt now it's about really being in service of the soul and asking. So that's how it all happened, because I didn't know if I'll be birthing in Bali. I was actually in Bali half of my pregnancy, and then the soul definitely said it. It was a he. I didn't know until the birth. So it was a clear sign to be born in Switzerland and to be born naturally at home. And also I could always feel that the soul loves water. So it all kind of just was, you know, like shown to me. Yeah. And there's more to talk about everything. So I'm not sure in which direction to go right now, but let's see.
Whichever direction feels most okay. You know, I love how you shared about the water, you know, and the soul-loving water, because we went to see the dolphins. Exactly. And I know you went twice.
Yes.
You were pregnant.
Exactly. So the waters, it's really, again, another thing. It just changed immediately when I was pregnant. I just felt constantly wanting to be in water. And again, water carries such a purifying and nurturing energy. And for me as well, it's the element that connects so much to the feminine, the flow, and actually also to be held, right? You're floating, so you're being held by the waters of the earth. So I actually spent so much time swimming and floating, and the dolphins. So in Bali, I met another woman. She's a doula, and she actually was there birthing her 8th child. So she's also half Jamaican as I am. And I was in the north, and a friend said, "You've got to meet this woman." And I could just feel I need to meet her, because for me, it was my first child, and she already birthed, like 7 children, and came to Bali, also listening to that beautiful soul, wanting to be born in Bali. And she just gave me such a download of birth and how it's such a strong initiation. And then she said, if you can, go swim with the dolphins. And that just got me on a whole nother journey of then finding out that there's been a beautiful conscious birthing place in Hawaii where they used to birth with the dolphins, and how the brains of the kids were differently developed through having the imprint of the frequency of the dolphins, of their songs. And actually throughout the pregnancy and even today, I still play dolphin music to my son, and then he sings with it. And I mean, I cannot describe what happened when we swam with the dolphins. But I mean, in my visual remembrance, I remember very clearly one moment I was swimming under the water with my partner, and then suddenly below us there were 4 mother and baby dolphins at once, and it just felt like such a blessing. And there was one male dolphin with them, so I was just like, whoa. And that whole after that experience, we both felt so activated and so joyful, and it actually somehow also activated also a lot of our sexual energy that night, I remember. So the dolphins have this really high frequency of joy and a sacred sexuality that's just like bubbling ecstasy, basically. I really could feel it, and I felt it a long time after we had that experience. I've never experienced anything like that, and so natural. It's just that ecstatic joy of living. So I'm really grateful that I was able to do it, and I would love to see actually more places in the world where we can create spaces for pregnant women to have that experience, to connect to the dolphins, and to get that blessing also for the children. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. You know, I'm like, I hope I get to swim with dolphins when I'm pregnant.
Yes, you will. It will just happen. Yeah.
What a blessing, you know, to be able to have had such a beautiful experience in the pregnancy. Did you hear the gecko? The gecko just went off. The gecko was like, yes, another animal blessing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's so beautiful. So before we started recording, we were talking just a little bit about ecstatic birth. And like our feelings around ecstatic birth. And did you feel like the birth was ecstatic for you? Like, how do you feel like that's, how can I say it? Is it a reasonable thing to expect birth to be ecstatic? Like, is that, like, I'm so curious about this, and I feel really curious about how, like, if it is a reasonable thing to want to have an ecstatic birth, like, how can we as women prepare for this kind of experience? Are there things we can do? Like, how was your experience?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a good question.
There's such big topics.
Yeah, it's such a big topic.
Jumping from the dolphins and the pregnancy, and now going straight. So how many orgasms did you have when you gave birth?
Well, so I'm going to start first with the word ecstatic, because that's what we were talking about also actually before we started recording. And I actually want to just reevaluate that word, because ecstasy in itself is, for me, like a very intense state of a lot of life force in the now moment. It's like that buzzing of life force explosion, basically. So in that way, yes, it was a very ecstatic birth. And I would even say that every birth is ecstatic, but the perception of it might be different. And actually we realize so quickly that then it goes into the mind, that we put a judgment on what we experience. And I think that's it's like actually how shall I say, so in our nature, I feel we humans, we are ecstatic. It's our natural state if we're really alive. And if we can open to the fully present, to the full presence of life, right? So that's where we come in touch with the path of Tantra and all of that. So what I just realized is that we have somehow in our human nature, we kind of crave these comfortable or pleasurable moments, you know. So we sometimes judge. So if something is not so comfortable, we're like, oh, I don't want more of this. And
Totally.
in that way we are, yeah. So we're judging what it is, but ecstasy in itself is everything in one thing. So it goes from maybe super pleasurable, high, orgasmic to like dissolving and maybe experiencing something that we call pain or so. So I feel it's really for myself, after having the birth, I was like, whoa, like I swear so much. Really swearing so much, roaring like a wild woman so much. Sometimes singing, sometimes having moments that felt like orgasmic, but it's a feeling of such an intense energy that I just dissolved. It's like you're ripped open. And was it comfortable? No, it was like, what is this? I cannot describe it other than just super intense life force. And and I feel it took me a while, and it will take me probably my whole life to fully integrate the experience. But right after, of course, right after birth, you have a super high, the hormones go like super high. So you're in a very strong bliss state. And then after day 5, there is another phase that comes where, the hormones change and you kind of like have a lot of grief or just like overwhelm and let's say the not so comfortable feelings. And in all of it, it's really good if we can be still the witness of what's happening through us and to us. So that's where, I feel that the practices of being witness of ourselves, the spiritual practices or the conscious embodiment or Tantra practices, whatever you want to call them, where you're just observing your sensations, you're observing your emotions, and you know it's not you, but it's happening through you. And to also remember that they change and that they are all teachers of something, right? So I feel it's been a big journey of understanding that it's very it's like a big event. A birth of a child is a huge event, and it actually transforms. It transformed my own birth. It transformed, back I could feel my mother. I could feel my grandmother. I understood, for example, some certain dynamics that I sometimes have with my mother. They are because, for example, I was a cesarean child. Like, she wasn't able to birth naturally. And I was able to heal through having a natural birth. I was able to heal parts of my own birth. So it's so much, there's so many layers to it. So many things that I realized. And also it wasn't just easy, because that's where, my work also goes into bringing more love and support for the feminine, because I know that my grandmother, she actually just passed 2.5 months ago. My Jamaican grandmother, my Swiss grandmother, passed a longer time ago, probably 16 years or so. But anyway, I can feel when I tap into them, they didn't have that loving support that they would have deserved, where the woman is worshipped as a goddess during her birth, where she's just supported, for example, even by the masculine, if she wants that during her birth, by the man being with her, or the women, like singing to them and just massaging and all the things. So it's so much, there's such a shift if I look back in 2 generations, so I'm just so grateful. And for me, I really feel, yes, it was of course an ecstatic birth, and I was able to be fully present with it because I didn't have any medication, and I really had the commitment to go full in. And I feel, what you ask, what prepares, is to really go full in with life and to feel. I think it's that capacity to be present with what's arising and to feel it, and not to escape it or to distract ourselves from the discomfort. And I think that's that's just the work that we need to do to heal, and then to come into our full power, and to stop judging, because it's actually so powerful to take a week or a month or a year, for example, to grieve something that you need to grieve for yourself or for your ancestors, or so I feel it's really just that capacity to hold a lot of energy in a moment, and to surrender. And I feel also practices that really connect us to Mother Earth, because we're sometimes just living life, moving around, doing our thing, and we forget the mystery of, like, wow, we're somewhere out in space on this planet called Earth, and we all know that we're passing through. So what are we doing here? To actually be aware that we all are somehow connected to this Earth, and what is our connection really, to really connect to the Earth as a energetical big mama, because you will need her. You really need somehow that connection, and the same up to spirit, to the divine masculine, to the light. And there were moments in my birth where I couldn't feel whether mother, no father, no nothing. It was just a void, and it was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. So I had very different experiences in the birth, in the birthing state. But I feel now, we're like 5.5 months since birth, I really feel so grateful, and I feel so blessed that I was able to birth at home naturally. And I feel like, for me, actually, one of the biggest things, the lessons that I had was, I feel a huge, big healing for myself and my ancestors around the strength, because, it's like I feel my Jamaican ancestry going back to Africa has, like, it's in our bones that we have this strength of overcoming challenges, and the thing is, if we always have to be strong, or we've practiced to be very strong or positive or whatever you want to call it, sometimes there are things that we couldn't fully feel through or grieve about. Wow. And they just all came up in the birth. And I was just like, holy shit, there's a lot for myself and for all of us actually to grieve. So
Yeah.
I was really, that was actually a huge gift for myself, to come more into my vulnerability, because I think I was just raised by a very strong, proud Jamaican mama that's like, you got this, go girl, and all of that. And I love it. And it is a superpower to believe in yourself, to see things in a positive way, even if they're challenging. You know what I mean? I feel it's a really, it's a big power to be grateful for what we have. But then there are moments where we have to admit, wow, this is so painful, or wow, this is so fucked up, or this is not how it should be, and just be like, and that's
Totally.
that's really what needed to be activated in a stronger degree, and actually brought me into more vulnerability with myself and to everyone, and to just allow even more space. And that's why I'm really trying to encourage us all to just show that, because it's just so beautiful, and it brings us closer together. Yeah. So I don't even know where I ended up talking. I'm happy
In
that
the perfect place. The beauty of vulnerability.
yes.
So important.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm really curious. I'm curious. Do you have experience with plant medicine?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how do you feel like your experiences with plant medicine helped you prepare, spiritually, psychologically, energetically, for the birth? Because I have theory about this, so I'm so curious.
Yes. Yeah, it's really a good topic to bring up in this concern. So just saying, from my whole life, my medicine is movement, and I've somehow always listened to the guidance, and it was always very clear that I need to strengthen my body and my energetical body, and my, whatever you want to say, psychic powers, and just my whole being, that I was asked to work only with movement, with breath, with focus, or whatever, for a long time before I took plant medicine. So I actually, the first time was in Bali with a Colombian shaman, and it was just 2 years ago. So very recently.
Wow, 2 years ago? So
yes.
It was very not so long before you became pregnant.
No.
Wow.
It was more or less 7 months before I got pregnant. Yes.
Wow.
And it's actually a very
oh my gosh, divine timing.
To do with the birthing story, to be honest. So because I did a lot of probably 6 different yoga trainings and meditation trainings, and I did holistic dance and Kundalini dance trainings and all these things. So I reached very deep spaces of ecstasy and whatever you want to call them, these portals through dance, And I always got the message, this is my medicine, and that's what I share with others. But then suddenly it was calling me to go and sit with this shaman, and he served ayahuasca, and the first ceremony, ayahuasca at one point faced me. It was like energetically, she looked me into the eyes and she said, do you really want to become a mother?
What?
And the energy of the presence of this beautiful plant spirit, I honor and love the intelligence and wisdom of the sacred plant medicine so much. And they are here, of course, for us to go even a bit faster on our evolutionary path when we are ready. And I would say also strong enough for that intensity. So she looked into my eyes and I couldn't escape. I remember it's like this piercing energy that's like, now, what is the truth? And I had to admit to myself that since I was 30, I'm 36 now. Since I was 30, just a little story very shortly, was that basically I think when I was 17, I had my first reading of a medium, and I asked her, will I become a mother or not? And then she said, it's up to you. You can or you cannot. It's totally up to you. If you want, you can, but you've been a mother in many lifetimes, so you don't have to. I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. So in that way, I always was like, well, I don't really mind if I'm a mom or not, because I anyway embody it. So I was pretty relaxed until I turned 30. I was in Goa on this holistic dance, 2 months immersion.
With Zola.
Yes.
I've done it.
There we go. So that's, of course, with so much womb work, and suddenly my womb just went nuts. She just wanted to become pregnant like that. But the thing is that I feel it's the intelligence. So every organ and every body part has its own intelligence or its own life. That's what I feel. And so my womb, of course, she also has a conditioning. And I really went deep into talking to her because I want to be honest, like I just wanted to have a baby immediately. And it felt like dangerous nearly. Like,
yes,
I mean,
yes.
To give you the picture, my inner vision was literally, I just wanted to go on the street and open my legs wide and be like, hey, who wants to give me some sperm? Like, it was like so intense. And
wow.
The feeling was like, in that moment for me, I remember, I mean, of course, I wanted to really be in love with someone, but I remember the lovers that I had at that time, I was like, of course, projecting so much onto them and like, oh, you're going to be mine, you know? So it was very unhealthy. So thank God I was able to go deeper into my womb, and I was hearing from her that she was saying, well, if I don't have a baby, I'm not worth anything. So she was like really telling me how she really just wants to have a baby now, and it's her duty, like her mission, you know. And then I actually also had to go through a lot of grief and just loving her up and telling her that she is worthy, whether she will carry a child or not, basically deconditioning her, and just saying, look, if it's, but it took me probably a year. Like, it was a long process. It was not just like a little chat. It was a long process of a lot of journeys, and just going into it, because I knew that I don't want to just have a baby because it's gonna kind of feel like, how shall I say, if it's like something that if it's like a condition, basically, if it's still like somehow a program, I really felt that I want to let that go, and then be again in this open state where I want to just allow. So then, going back now to the moment with ayahuasca, was that she said, what do you want? And then I kind of wanted to say, well, I don't mind. But she said, no, it's not true. You get to choose. I was like, oh my God, I get to choose. That's so uncomfortable. And then I was like, I bursted into tears in the ceremony. And I was like, I want to experience becoming a mother. And I sobbed so long. And there was such a relief. Because actually I had to admit that I was so scared that it might not happen, that I felt stronger to just say, I don't care. But it wasn't true, because it's so vulnerable to say, I actually want it. It's so vulnerable because we feel, I think if we're sensitive, we know that having kids is one of the things that in a way it's still very mystical. It's still something we don't really know if it's going to happen. And even when you have it, it's still so vulnerable because you don't know how long will I live, or will my child live, or even, throughout the pregnancy, throughout the birth. Oh my goodness. It's that's where I say it's a spiritual energy to hold, to be of service, to give your love, to be open in your heart and not to know what's going to happen throughout the journey.
Wow.
And we have to be in that stage, because if not, I feel we're not gonna be ready if things happen, and also it's like how shall I say, we're kind of missing out on the gift of being really so full in, you know what I mean? To be like aware of that tenderness of life. Yeah. So anyway, that was that moment with plant medicine where she really was like, okay, admit it. And it was so important for me to admit it. And I actually had a kind of a energetical, it's very weird, but in those states of plant medicine, I call them operations, but I had an energetical operation on my womb.
Yeah.
And something happened, which I don't know, but actually the crazy thing was also, was so crazy. The plant medicine then said to me, well, you will receive a soul. And I met the soul in the journey. And it was so beautiful because it was like a friend. It was like meeting a friend, like, hey, cool, you're coming. So beautiful and joyful and natural. And also it was saying to me, it will come by the end of the year. I was like, what? And I had a lover and he was like, what?
Hey, excuse me?
I think I'm not the right one. So it was very interesting. And somehow that part of the timing, I think probably 3 months later, I somehow forgot it, because I was actually just talking to Matthias the other day, and we were having dinner with a friend, and she was asking us about our journey, and then I shared, and he was like, oh wow, I didn't even know it. I was like, oh my God, I actually forgot.
Wow.
I forgot when I met him that I had that, and I think I didn't even believe it so much, but I really forgot that it was the message. It will come till the end of the year. So now just closing that sharing, it was like, so I always say there are these cosmic jokes, right? Like for me, God or the divine just plays a lot of funny jokes with us. So the last day of the year, I had a dream from the 30th December to the 31st. And it was the most beautiful dream I really ever had. It was a huge celebration of light beings. They were dancing, and it was just wow, just a celebration that the most beautiful you could imagine. And then they actually gifted me, they were like, it's your birthday. So my birthday is on the 31st of December, the last day of the year. And in the dream, they were kind of saying, here, the soul is coming now. And I knew then in this dream, I'm pregnant. So I woke up.
The aliens told you.
Basically.
Wow. This conversation exceeds all expectations.
Well, yeah, you're the first one. I'm sharing the whole story. But here we go. It's really how it was. It was so crazy. So I also, again, I had this feeling of floating in space, and I could feel something was happening with my womb. It was similar like in the plant medicine state. And it was the most beautiful feeling. And I woke up. I remember I was crying of joy in my dream. And it was my 35th birthday. I woke up and we were on a retreat, on a New Year's retreat. And I just started sobbing. I was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I just knew it, you know.
Wow. Oh.
So
that is
crazy.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
what a gift.
Yeah. Yes. So that was the way that I found out. And I could share a lot more. Well, anyway, we were on this retreat. So on that day, somehow, so many women and sisters, they were like, just like feeling my womb. And they were like, probably you're going to become parents soon. And we were like, And the funny moment when Matthias came in, he was doing a silent walk in the morning. And I was like, it's my birthday, I'm going to sleep out. And he came in and I was crying. And he was like, what is it? I think I'm pregnant. And then he like said the sweetest thing. He was like, oh, well, maybe that's the best thing that could happen to us.
Oh,
it was so sweet. Well, he had his own fears later on in the pregnancy, but in that moment, it was so sweet of him to say that. And and I feel also just speaking to the process that I had there, it was probably a 2-hour process of grieving, where I actually went through all the things that I had planned the next year and the commitments. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. And I have to move this. And so I was like, oh, but then I went in myself and I asked myself again, like, well, what am I doing here on earth? And then I was just feeling again, well, I am feeling really, I'm in service for humanity. I'm in service of love. I'm in service of awakening. So now that service just goes all into the soul. And I actually could feel at peace in that moment. And I feel that's also very an important process for women who are on the journey of becoming mothers, because it's really like you have to let go of a lot of plans. And the more we have like clinging on to things, it's gonna really make the process harder, because what I feel what happens during the pregnancy is like it's like a channel that opens. If you think like we're matter, the physical body or the self, and then I feel it peaks with the birth, where you become nothing. Yeah, it's your death, and you become nothing. And now I'm actually in the process of again slowly bringing myself back together, but I'm already like not just one, I'm now two. So it's quite crazy what happens, like the process of everything. Yeah. So I'll make a break here.
My hey little baby,
Yes.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I love how you speak about like these moments of dissolving during the birth. And it's because for me, like some of my moments of like deepest pleasure during lovemaking, and it's like, when it's like a powerful experience. It's like I feel like I'm dissolving. It's like I feel like I'm nothing. I feel like I'm being obliterated, and it's just there's like such ecstasy in that. And so it's just such a beautiful, like, just hearing you speak about that experience of dissolving. It's like I feel it almost as like this portal, like from orgasm into birth. It's really, really profound. So, wow, this has been such a magical conversation. I want to just ask you one last question. Actually, I'm like, yeah, I do want to ask you this question. And I feel like you're such a great person to ask this to because of all your work with embodiment. It's like your path has really been about like finding like spirit through the body. Yeah. And I resonate so deeply with that. I think we're on kind of similar journeys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really curious to hear about how your own sense of yourself through your body has shifted from this after this transition. Like, how is your own sense of embodiment different now?
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna just quickly turn on this light.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, it's getting dark. Yeah, and this will be our last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going all night.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually really, how shall I say? So it's interesting. So when you said, how do I feel now in my body? I first also felt my son, Juno, very strongly, because it's like, having him or having a baby, it feels like the heart, my heart in the inside is like in the outside now. So it's really like my body has extended into another body, and I know he is his own being, but how shall I say that? I'm like constantly feeling energetically wrapped around him, and it's one of my biggest missions like now is really constantly wrapping him in love and safety, and actually constantly being in connection to him. And I really realized that when I am, for example, a bit nervous or anxious or something, he is my mirror immediately. So that's why it's so important for me to really be even more like checking in. Where am I with myself? How am I feeling? What do I need? And through the birth, the body goes into super yin state. So as I said, through that dissolving and openness and being in that fully surrender and receptivity of the woman, and also breastfeeding fully and all of that. It's like it's all like feeling so soft, right? It's so soft and so giving and so feminine. And for myself now it's a journey of slowly bringing again back some masculine strength, some focus back in step by step, because I do know that as he grows, it's like I'm coming back to that dance of my masculine and feminine, also physically, also the strength. Because actually through the pregnancy, I've lost so much also that feeling of strength and also the muscular strength. So the thing is, it feels like after the birth, everything just feels so soft and so open, and really having that purpose of really taking care of him and protecting him. So I feel like two, and we also say that mother and the baby share the aura for a whole year. So we are like so together, and he's just asking me to be in alignment with myself and to be really also in my strength, but I would still call it's a gentle strength. There are phases in my life where I've been much, in that way stronger, but now it feels like such a gentle, powerful, raw, feminine strength, And for example, something else that I've realized is that I can, if I walk through the streets, and I'm right now in Egypt, and sometimes I could feel how the people, like what their state is. And for example, also if someone is a bit, let's say, holds a bit of anger or whatever, I can feel it because I like have to constantly protect him. And a person that is carrying, let's say, a bit of anger in the body could easily be a threat to us than someone who is super relaxed and happy and open. You know what I mean? So
wow.
I feel it's very interesting that the body is kind of really, that the senses are heightened.
Yeah, it's like the animal instincts are so online, like that's so profound, the level of like sensitivity and awareness.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. And I feel it's really important for us women to give it time and the process of coming back to our bodies, because I've also had phases I was like, oh, grieving my old body or whatever, or also just sharing your body literally with your breast, like you're constantly breastfeeding. And he, thank God, he sleeps quite well, but I still breastfeed every 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes when he sleeps, you know. So it's really important to just know that this is a phase where I am fully in the service and sharing. And at the same time, it's important, like I try to take 2 hours a day just for myself and to really take care of my energy. And I go to yoga or I go running or swimming, you know. So that really, I would say, is such a key to staying strong and healthy. Yeah.
I love that. I feel, you know, Jelena, like for me, you are just like, just luminescent, you know, like luminescent and radiance. It's, you embody it in such a beautiful way. And you embodied it as a maiden and you embody it as a mother. And I feel that it's so important that we have a chance to really feel like a nourished, glowing mama, you know. And you are just, you're so rocking this journey. And, you know, I'm sure it's deeply challenging at times, but just the way that you carry yourself with so much grace and wisdom is profoundly inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing about your experience. This has just been so beautiful having you on today.
Thank you, Tamar. It's been such a joy to share. And it really touches my heart to bring out these topics more. So thank you also for doing this and offering the wisdom and these conversations to many people. And I always learn also of myself. You know, I learn about myself as I'm speaking, and I'm definitely inspired to share more because, as I shared before we were recording, for me, it's such a key if we want to see a more healthy society and, you know, kind of what we're all talking about, awakening and bringing more love and presence to this planet. We have to bring more awareness to conscious whatever reception, conscious pregnancy, conscious birthing, conscious then going on to motherhood. Because yes, it's really it's a big journey and it takes so much, and there is not yet enough awareness and support. And I feel through doing it myself now, I've seen where the challenges are, and there's no thing is perfect, but there is a way where I think it's, again, it goes back to self-love, really choosing ourselves first, because I cannot be a so-called good mother if I'm out of alignment. And I feel that's where everyone who wants to become a mother and prepare, it's really that just taking that time to deepen the connection to ourselves and being very true to where we're at and what wants to be felt through and moved through. And I feel then it will be a lot easier and, as we say, joyful and graceful, because we can hold ourselves. And I mean, even moments when I was grieving a lot after the birth, I remember moments I was breastfeeding and crying at the same time. And I just had to say to my little son, look, it's just flowing right now, but I'm still, showing myself in an authentic way, because it's not about performing to our children. It's about really sharing a loving and grounded and honest way of being a human. Yeah.
And what an incredible example that is to set for your son. So beautiful. Thank you, Jelena.
Oh, thank you. It's been such a joy to speak to you. And look forward to keep on weaving magic and then dancing and celebrating together when we see each other next.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being the first mama on the podcast. You're the first mama I'm interviewing for this series.
So beautiful.
Yeah. So tell us before we wrap this up, how can people find you and your work? Like, what's coming up? What are you excited about? And where can people connect?
Yeah, so definitely it's always updated on my homepage, which is on jelenadevi.com. And I am still in a bit of a, let's say, relaxation phase here in Egypt, in Dahab, until end of the month. I gifted myself, 3 months actually, to really just do what I need to do and flow and be in a new place. So I'm actually sharing online. I had an online course that I offered in the beginning of January, and it was so powerful, and I felt it's so beautiful to just continue something, and I felt inspired. So I'm going to start on Thursday a weekly feminine embodiment class, Thursday evenings in European time. So it's not so perfect for Bali people, but for some others on this planet, it will be a 10-week journey through different feminine embodiment practices and topics to really go deeper into femininity and being a woman and moving and feeling and expressing and just being together in sisterhood. And then I'm going to start retreats again in June. So I do women retreats, and the training, the women's embodiment training will be end of August, beginning of September. I offered it in Bali, but this year it will be in Switzerland. It's a 10-day journey, the Shakti Rising. And I also have the 4th year of offering a conscious community festival. It's called the Rise Up Gathering, where I bring together 20 to 30 conscious leaders. And I'm really excited for that, because I just love bringing more love and awareness and celebration to this planet. And here and there, I also offer, coachings. But I'm still just seeing how it goes with my son. And I feel that I will be offering also more spaces for mothers and for mothers with children, because they love to be part of, what we do. They should be like initiated to us into these beautiful conscious spaces. Yeah. So that's all of the many beautiful things that I offer.
Beautiful. Yeah, I will put all those links in the show notes so people can find them easily.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jelena.
You're listening to the Embodied Mystic podcast. Thank you for being here and for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and that it could serve you in some way. I I'd love to hear from you. My inbox is always open. Let me know what spoke to you in this episode, and if there was a moment that lit you up or brought you into deeper self-reflection. If you loved this episode, I'd be super grateful if you took a moment to leave a review or share with a friend. You can do this easily by visiting the link in the show notes. It's been a real pleasure connecting with you today, and I'll see you soon.